At the very heart of so many belief systems, you'll find this idea of God's law. We tend to picture it as this long, strict list of rules, right? But what if its real purpose is something totally different? That's exactly what we're going to get into today. And this really is the key to the whole conversation. I mean, think about it. If a law is perfect, but people, well, we aren't, then what's the point? It feels like a contradiction, and we're about to unpack it. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Before we can figure out its purpose, we need to be on the same page about what we're even talking about. What exactly is God's law? So, right off the bat, we see this isn't just a list of do's and don'ts. It's presented as these huge foundational principles. It's almost like a moral compass meant to express these big ideas like God's love and will for how we treat each other. But big abstract ideas can be hard to grasp. How do they actually show up in the real world? Well, we see this law made tangible in a couple of really specific ways. First, these massive principles get kind of boiled down or embodied in the Ten Commandments. This is where the abstract gets concrete. It becomes a written code that reflects those deeper ideas about our relationship with God and with the people around us. And it doesn't stop with a written code. We're also given a living, breathing example. The principles of the law are also shown through the life of Christ. This suggests the law isn't just something you read. It's something that's meant to be lived out. So, what's the official role of this law? Well, it's seen as having three really key functions. First, it's universal. It applies to everyone, everywhere, at any time. Second, it's the foundation of God's covenant, almost like the terms and conditions of an agreement. And third, it's the standard, the benchmark that's used in God's judgment. All right, so we've got a decent idea of what the law is, but this brings us right back to our central puzzle. What is it for? Especially if, we can't follow it perfectly. And this is where its function gets really, really interesting. Let me give you an analogy that makes this super clear. Think of the law like an MRI or a CT scan. That scan is an incredible diagnostic tool, right? It can show you exactly what the problem is with perfect clarity. But the scan itself can't fix the problem. It can't perform the surgery. So just like that medical scan, the main job of the law is diagnostic. It holds up this perfect standard, and by doing that, it shows us exactly where we fall short. In religious terms, it points out sin. It identifies the issue. And what happens when you get a diagnosis for a problem you can't possibly fix on your own? You look for an expert, right? You look for help. In the same way, by revealing the problem, the law is said to awaken this deep sense of need, a need for a savior. It points you toward a solution that's outside of yourself. And this leads us to the absolute core of this entire idea. If the law proves we can't be perfect on our own, then how can anyone have a right relationship with God? The answer pivots on one single powerful concept: grace. This changes everything. The solution isn't to just buckle down and try harder to follow the rules. Instead, the whole perspective shifts to this idea: salvation is all of grace and not of works. That's a fundamental rewrite of the equation. Let's just put these two paths side by side so we can see how different they are. On one hand, you have salvation by works. That's all about your performance, what you can earn through your own efforts. But on the other hand, you have salvation by grace. This isn't earned at all. It's a free gift. It's received through faith, not based on your performance. The focus flips completely from human effort to a divine gift. So let's just walk through the logical flow here. Step 1. The law acts like a mirror and shows us the problem, which is sin. Step 2. Seeing the problem awakens this need for outside help, for a savior. Step 3. The solution, salvation, is then received as a free gift through grace. And that leads to a really important final step. 4. The result, the fruit of all this, is obedience. So what does that even mean, the fruit of obedience? This last part is all about what happens in a person's life after receiving grace. And notice the order here, because it's so important. This is the result, not the requirement. And honestly, this is the main takeaway. In this way of thinking, obedience is not the cause of salvation. It's not the thing you do to earn it. Instead, it's the fruit of salvation. It's the natural, organic result of a life that's been changed by grace. It's the difference between cause and effect, and that changes everything. So what does this fruit actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, it shows up in some pretty tangible ways. This new, grace-fueled obedience is what develops Christian character. It creates a genuine sense of well-being. It becomes the outward evidence of an inward love for God and, just as importantly, concern for other people. It strengthens a person's witness. And ultimately, this new kind of obedience isn't just for the individual. It's meant to be a living, breathing demonstration of the power of Christ to truly transform a life from the inside out. Which brings us right back to our big question, but now with a whole new lens. If obedience is the evidence of salvation, not the cause of it, how does that totally change the way we think about rules? It shifts them from being this impossible ladder you have to climb to being a road you get to walk on because you've already been given a destination. It's a pretty powerful idea to chew on. Thanks for digging into this with me.